So today we start with the new concept of enterprise information system. Now, enterprise information system is all about the replacement that has been made to the previous syllabus of information technology. So we already technically had this subject, but now the entire pattern has changed. So in the past IPCC syllabus and in the new intermediate syllabus, for all the papers there has been a huge difference, and notable difference is in this subject. So information technology has been replaced by EIS or enterprise information system. Now enterprise information system, the main difference that you will find, and technically it is a little easier, that is because in the last syllabus it was much more technical. The terms were pretty tough and you had to stick to the book language in order to get some marks. So now we have some free hand, but we may have some tougher questions on the bad side. Now the tougher questions mostly relate to case study and some other stuff which you might get. So we'll be starting off with this new syllabus and we'll see how it goes. Now the new syllabus has this old pattern of having 5 chapters and then some allotted marks of each chapter. So the pattern goes almost same, that questions will be a little different and the answering style is different, and the content is also totally changed. Now about the content, a brief idea. In the previous syllabus, if you had any idea, it was majorly technical and we had little applications of business into IT structure. It was relatively small. This time the business application of information technology is much more and the technical environment is a little less. So less of technical terms and more of e-commerce, more of business application. So more of theory and less of practical applications. So this time maybe with other subjects you might be helpful, it might be helpful, and of course writing is easier for commerce students, so it is on the good side overall. So we'll start by discussing the syllabus. तो देखते हैं syllabus में क्या क्या है. First chapter, first of all we have total 5 chapters. The first chapter is automated business processes. Now this chapter is more like BPA, we'll come to that when we discuss it. Next is financial and accounting systems. Next would be information systems and its components. Next is pretty easy. E-commerce, M-commerce and emerging technologies. And the last one, which is very much essential also to this syllabus, is core banking systems or CBS. Now this entire 5 chapters, these chapters are coming for a sum total of 50 marks. This will be for EIS and the rest of the 50 marks would be for strategic management or SM. So previously it was called ITSM, now it's EISSM, so don't get confused. So EIS regards to all these chapters. Now regarding the study pattern and everything, information technology can be pretty boring. Now I am going to say information technology for a very brief period of time, of course, because it takes time to adapt to the new syllabus. But EIS is going to be obviously boring, a little boring if you have like zero interest. But since it has been combined a lot with, you know, financial systems, business processes, with the commerce background and with the banking system, we are left with only one major technical chapter, which is information system and its components. So one more thing, all these chapters are completely theory based. Only this chapter is majorly having a practical approach which is the concept of flow chart. Now there was previously also a concept of decision table that has been removed. So no decision table, only flow chart this time in theory, in practical. And in theory we have the remaining chapters, and obviously there is theory also in this chapter. It is not totally practical. Only a very small portion is practical. Rest is all theory. So a lot of theory plus SM is there. So much more theory. Now the good point is the theory is not like law. So you don't have to remember everything, section wise or point wise. You don't have to mug it up. You know the concept, you can apply it. So you need to know the concept. The concept is what matters, and the major concepts are discussed in chapter 3. Rest, if you study chapter 3, the terms that have been used from chapter 3 in different chapters, then it won't be much of a problem, because you will be able to adapt very, very fast. Not a problem. Now, these things are some things which are, related to today's syllabus. Nowadays, we are acquainted with all this. So I don't think it will be a very huge problem if you're already having some idea of technology. But for people who are totally outdated and don't have any idea and totally, into books, I think you might have to study a little bit, and you might have to have a practical approach to this. Okay, so this is the entire syllabus that has been discussed for Enterprise Information System, and we'll be starting with the chapters one by one. So today we'll be starting with chapter 3. We are in EIS, Enterprise Information System. We'll be starting with chapter 3, whose heading can be written as Information Systems. And its components. So information systems and its components. This is the only slightly technical chapter in your syllabus. So I hope you would concentrate on this, and this is the major chapter you need to score. This is a little technical. Rest of the chapters totally commerce based, totally banking based, totally financial accounting system based. So you have already had that idea. Now this is pretty much new. So you have to concentrate on this. Okay. So information system and IT and its components, sorry. Now its components. So what do you mean by information system? Now follow the notes that has been provided with the DVD pen drive or whatever you are following, and refer to this chapter. So you will be following up the very first page where you will find information systems and IT fundamentals. Now before we get into this chapter whole soul, we need to know what we are discussing in this chapter. So about this chapter is pretty much prominent to discuss all the small technologies separately, right? So just imagine a very big system, right? Supposedly your computer right now in which you are studying, or any particular device on which you are watching this video. That device has a display, it has an audio output, it has a processor, it has something called RAM, it has storage. So it has all the components that make up that device. Now all these components have some crucial part to play in the entire system. These parts, these technical parts have been separately discussed in this chapter, and then we'll see at last how all these parts come together, form a particular system, and then we can implement it in our day-to-day lives, in our businesses, etc., etc. So with the word information system or IS, the word information is derived and system we have. So with the word information can also be derived from a new word that we have studied, might be before, or we'll use the word data. How many of you know the difference between data and information? Try. Data, information. Some of you might think it is same. Some of you might have the idea, right? Now very few have the idea. So if you have the idea, it's a good start. So data stands for a set of raw facts, and information is processed, much more useful data. For example, say we are all from commerce background. Say let's pass a journal entry. Okay. Now we all know what a journal entry is. It was the very basic of account. A shopkeeper, say you are the shopkeeper, and the entire day you are maintaining all the records, right? You are purchasing some goods, selling some goods, everything you are doing. You are simply passing the journal entries every day. What for? At the end of the year, you start to prepare all the ledgers, all the trial balances, everything you prepare, right? And then finally you obtain a balance sheet. You prepare a tax statement. You prepare everything, whatever is required for accountability, right? So you are performing and you are taking inputs as small raw facts which are occurring on a daily basis. And then at last, or during a period of time, you are assembling them and then converting them into something much more useful in a summarized format, which is called information. So this data that you are taking, the journal entries that you are making is data. The raw facts is data. And when they are combined together, assembled together, put together, and then processed to obtain something much more useful, something of a very high value compared to data, it is known as information. Clear? So data and information. So now we have information. So what do you mean by information? Processed data having a very high value in any given environment, correct? So now we have information. Put that aside. Now we have system to discuss. What do you mean by system? Normally, how do you define system? A way of doing things, right? A set of combinations that makes up a process is a system. How you perform a particular task is a system. Clear? Now, what if I talk about a system to assemble, say, water bottles, right? A system to manufacture water bottles, mineral water bottles. So first of all, you have to have a plant which manufactures the entire water, which purifies the water, correct? Next, you have to have a plant set up for the plastic bottles, for the labeling, for the coloring, for the packaging. Then you have to have a machine to fill the bottles with the mineral water. So you have step-by-step instructions on how you have to run the system. Clear? Now this system, if done manually, if you manually do everything, it takes a lot of time, correct? Anything you do, anything, preparation of final accounts, preparation of anything you want, in a computer if done, it is obviously very fast. If you are given to add up 100 numbers, it will take you some time. Give it to a computer, all at once it can add. Put it into Excel sheet, it will add in 1 second, not even 1 second, correct? How does this happen? Because computer has speed, accuracy, efficiency. These all words will come into being. This is a system. So whenever we are combining all the data that we have, converting them into information using a system, an entire information system is obtained. Clear? So information system is, we are getting our entire data processing into a computerized environment. So we have a new word which is known as data processing. Now, in the older syllabuses, or just for knowledge, note, we have 3 types of data processing: manual, mechanical, and electronic. This is also known as EDP, must have heard in colleges or in school. Manual data processing, mechanical and electronic data processing, right? So what is our major task here? To convert data to information using a system. Might be manual, might be mechanical, might be electronic. Manually data processing, given you 100 numbers, you add up all the 100 numbers. It will take time. Mechanical, use a tool, not calculator, it will be electronic. Say abacus, might be you have heard of it or tried it. Abacus is an offline device, it's like a playing tool, but you know, children get to learn it at a very young age. You can use that for calculation, for faster calculation, but not as efficient and accurate as electronic data processing. Okay, so this is the type of data processing that we'll be studying with, that we'll be dealing with, and this is what our syllabus is all about. So we start with the concept of EDP, end up in information system. So information system is integrating our entire data processing structure into computerized environment. Clear? Now, different environments have different information systems. Clear? Say this environment that you are learning, that is called LMS, Learning Management System. Clear? It is known as LMS, Learning Management System, meant for educational purposes. If you are using another interface, say you are manufacturing something. Whenever you are manufacturing, it requires a completely different set. What will LMS do in manufacturing? A different set required. Say call center business. When you are serving customers, when you are picking up customer support calls, it is a completely software, complete hardware structure that is required. So we are getting into different varieties of systems or different varieties of information systems based on different types of business environments. Clear? So now let's get into all the details that we have. So check your notes. I hope you have found the first, second pages and everything. So information system is there. We have dealt with information system. And now we know what data processing is. So data processing, what we can say, we input some data, it is processed, and then we obtain the output. Now say input is our data, raw facts is our input. So what will be the output? Information. That is actually what comprises information system. Clear? Now this entire concept is a very kiddish concept. This is very easy. So get this into your mind and give, and side by side also read the notes. If possible, pause the video, read the notes. Okay? Now we have a fresh heading which is known as components of information system. So let's check the components. I'll be using short forms now. So let's see what are the different components. People, hardware, software, data, network and communication system. So we have 5 major components under which hardware and software are the most important because they have further segregations. Okay, so these are the 5 major components of hardware, of information system, under which hardware software can be considered one of the major things. Now information system, we have the brief idea. We know now what it is. So we'll stop using these words and we'll once and for all finish up what the environment looks like. Now information system, first thing, most important thing is people. We'll be discussing one by one all these things in the entire chapter. So the first one is people. Now people referring to people who are there, who are performing all the actions required in the information system environment. For example, say you are running a manufacturing concern. Okay, say car manufacturing. Now you're manufacturing cars. Car manufacturing has a lot of divisions, right? Engine manufacturing is there, chassis manufacturing is there, each and every part, component, screw, everything manufacturing is there, car servicing is there, assembling is there, delivery there, everything, customer support is there, 24/7 helpline is there, so everything is there. Clear? Painting is there, everything, accident area, everything is there. So every department needs people, and this thing nowadays can never be done manually. You received a phone call, from the time you received a phone call, that is automatically falling under something which is technical. So they have all the call records. Call records are forwarded to some sales department. Sales department places order, advanced order with, when they receive your booking amount, they give you a time period, say 15 days booking period is there. So when you book the car, they tell you after 15 days your car will be delivered. Then they send this order to the manufacturing plant. They take the order, they start assembling, manufacturing everything, the color, everything you require. So this entire chain is automated. Clear? No one person can be blamed for anything because everything is automated. But there are people who are sitting and controlling the computers. There are end users, there are administrators, there are managers, there are directors, owner of the company. Everything is there. Company has shares in stock market also. Every day the automated environment is what is running the business. If you remove the computer, nothing will happen anymore. Clear? So there are people everywhere who are controlling everything, of which the most important person can be termed as DBA or the database administrator. Now we'll be coming to this one by one. Now what is a DBA? What is database? What is administrator? One by one we'll be discussing everything. Not an issue. So when we'll be coming to people, we'll be telling, but database administrator in short, who manages all the stuff that is happening in your environment, in your technical environment. Say you have a very big department. So you have multiple computers. The multiple computers will be connected to one big computer. Now that big computer will have huge storage. To manage that storage, there is a specialized person who is very well enhanced in his knowledge, studied well, who is known as database administrator or DBA. That is also a person. Hence, one of the most important people. Clear? In this chain. So we have marked it. Next we have hardware. So anything, any particular thing that you do in life, on a component, you touch it, right? Anything which is tangible in technical terms is hardware. So supposedly you are using a mobile phone. Pick up your mobile phone. Now whenever you are picking up, you are touching some component, whether it be cover, whether it be the chip, anything. You are touching the display, anything that you are doing, correct? This entire thing is hardware, a mobile phone. Now answer me this. Supposedly I use this button to switch on the phone, correct? I used my finger to open the phone. Now I am using my finger to use the phone, correct? What am I touching? The display or the software inside it? So many people, a few years ago this question was asked and many people said it was the software they were interacting with. That is totally wrong. We are interacting with the hardware which is programmed in such a way that it stimulates the software. So we are not touching the software. We are touching the hardware. Only tangible thing is hardware. So all the components which can be touched is hardware. Simple. Not seen, because software can be seen. Okay. So this is hardware. Next is software. Now software is also essential. We'll be coming into details step by step. I'm not skipping over anything. Each and every topic will be discussed. Next is software. Now software, when we are talking about it, it is something which is programmed. Clear? Everything to be performed has a step-by-step instruction. If you have to do something, you have a list. You have a functional list in order to achieve that goal. See? Whenever you are trying to achieve that goal, you have to follow the list, the entire process. Say for example, you have to make a packet of Maggi. Now that Maggi has to be made. Although no Maggi has ever been made in 2 minutes, but still that Maggi has to be made. Clear? Now it has a set of instruction to be followed. Right? You boil the water, you put it in. Now if you are trying to automate something, you will tell these set of instructions to an automated computer. You will tell all these things to a computer. How will you tell this thing? Computer will not understand your language. It will understand its own 0101 wala language. We'll come to that also. But a computer has to be given instructions in its own language. So you will convert your language into their language and then let them know of the instructions you need to follow. And then they will execute it. If everything is correct, the computer will execute it if it understands properly. Clear? This is software. Pretty simple. Using the hardware in order to help the hardware interact with all the components, make maximum use of the entire structure. This is software. Day by day it is improving, hardware improving, software also improving, both improving side by side. Now hardware and software are interdependent. They cannot work without each other. Clear? So how does this work? Say suppose software is the driver, hardware is the car and electricity is the petrol, now you will have a perfect equation. You cannot drive the car without a driver, or if you have not learned driving, then you cannot drive, and electricity is always required. Now electricity is of no use in our syllabus, but still if you think about it, now this is a program which takes complete capacity utilization of the hardware. So both are interdependent. You have the driver, you don't have the car, no use. You have the car, don't know how to drive, no driver, no use. Clear? So both will take advantage of each other. Next is data. We have discussed what is data, raw facts, whatever we want to process, it is required in this chain. And next is network and communication system. So now we need a proper network. How would you execute it? If you have multiple branch offices, you would require an internet connection. Network does not mean internet, we'll come to that also. Network is totally different, internet is different, we'll see how. Network is required in order to establish a point-to-point communication system. Say you called your mother, you called your father, called your brother, called anybody, gave a phone call. Are you using internet? No, but you are communicating, correct? You are communicating through a system which has network, correct? So network does not mean internet. When you are using your mobile phone, you have some network in your mobile phone and you can dial. That does not mean you are using internet. So network is different. Internet is a type of network, that is totally aside. So every day, day to day, to carry out all these operations smoothly, you need to have interaction between all this. To have interaction, you need proper hardware, software, which have proper communication networks, proper setups, proper systems. Okay. So we'll be talking about people and network and communication system. Data we have discussed. These two things we'll be talking later on. Now we'll be starting our discussion with hardware.